Hi everyone, I'm Valia. This is my new foster dog, Nabucco. I just got him from my hometown 2 days ago and I was so excited. He was found as a stray there. He was rescued 3 years ago. I remember him when he was rescued because he was rescued by a friend of mine, and I've had an eye for him since that first day I saw him. So I'm very excited that I can finally help him. He comes from the same place where I had rescued Blue from, that stray dog I found on the beach that she turned out to be a therapy dog in Holland. And yeah, so Nabucco and I came home 2 days ago, about 9 o'clock at night, and he was immediately accepted by my 3 dogs. We've already posted our first, family photos together or sitting in the elevator. So, and I got a few comments like, oh my God, do you hypnotize them? So I thought it would be a good chance to explain a bit about how I foster and how all this thing of dogs coming and going really works out for me and for my dogs, actually. I'll start from the beginning. I actually believe that I owe a lot to my first dog, Laura. She was the first dog I adopted, and she, despite her issues in the beginning, she is the I can't be bothered type. I swear, I wish you knew her, but people who know her and friends of mine will completely agree with me on this one. I could walk into the apartment dressed up as Darth Vader, carrying an elephant on a leash, and she wouldn't react. So this is my first dog. She's very confident, very down to earth, very sure about herself, and nothing really surprises her ever. So given the fact that she was the first dog, she kind of set a standard for the second dog I adopted, which was Apollo, and the third dog that I adopted, which was Pelagia. Of course, I've fallen in love with so many dogs during all those years. The reason I adopted Apollo and the reason I adopted Pelagia is because I've fallen in love, as I said, with a lot of dogs during those, past few years. The reason why Apollo and Pela got to stay is because they fit perfectly with our pack here, and this is very important. I completely respected my first dog, Laura, when I brought in a second dog. I was fostering him already, and he was a perfect match. Although they're very different, he immediately fit in with a routine that it was set here in the house, and he completely respected Laura as a first dog. And this is how it happened for the third dog, Pelagia, which I first fostered, and it was as if there was no third dog in the house. There are a few things that make our situation here with my 3 dogs unique for fostering, and the first thing is that I'm not the perfect dog owner, but I am a very stable dog owner. So those 3 dogs know exactly what to expect during a day. That's why they are so down to earth. That's why they are so balanced and so uncomplicated, although individually they might get complicated. They've never ever missed a walk. They know that mommy's going to wake up in the morning, she's going to have her breakfast and her coffee, because otherwise I can't function. They're going to be walked. After that, they're going to have their breakfast. Then it's going to be this nothing happening, time during which, I might work. They sleep. And then they get their evening walk, and then they get their dinner. Then we have some playtime. They get their treats. And then they sleep, and then the next day comes. And although it might seem very boring to us, routines are very important for dogs. It makes them feel secure, it makes them feel happy, and calm dogs are actually happy dogs. Sometimes we look at dogs and we think that, oh my God, they're bored because they're sleeping all day. No, if you've been around stray dogs, and if you notice stray dogs, and if you've noticed the routines or the street, that's what they do. Mainly they do nothing all day. in the morning they might get, you know, an hour of exercise where they might maybe play with each other if they're young, or they go around looking for food or something like that. Don't lick that, you're not supposed to lick it. And then they just lay around and do nothing. So this is one thing that is very important, and this is one thing that makes my dogs very stable, is that they have a very specific routine, and we never deviate from that, no matter how sick I am, no matter how tired I am, no matter how busy I am. Even if I am that busy that it's impossible for me, you know, to find time to walk them because I want to do something else. I have friends walk them, or I can even hire a dog walker so that they definitely get their walk. And exercise and routine are very important for the dogs. Another thing that makes us easy as a foster family is that my dogs, apart from being calm and apart from being, you know, very stable and having a very set routine that makes them confident, they don't really interact with each other. They mainly interact with me. Sometimes I get questions, you know, from friends, you know, don't they fight, don't they play, don't they? No, I'm not sure how this happened. I think it's, again, thanks to Laura, because my first dog, because she doesn't really interact with other dogs, but my dogs interact with me, and the situation in the house is like as if they're living in parallel universes. So each one has a relationship with me mainly. Of course, they are aware of each other, but they don't really mingle. And another thing is that I always respected the hierarchy here. That's not something that someone taught me. I just thought it would be fair. So Laura was the first dog, and she is first, and everybody accepts it. She walks first. She gets her food first. She gets her treats first, and then Apollo is second. He gets his food and his treats second, and then Pella is third. And although that maybe would seem unfair to us, dogs are not like children, and they really accept and they really feel comfortable within this hierarchy, because it makes them feel very sure. They know that they're going to get their treat and that they're going to get it second or third or first, and that's all they need to be happy. They're not really allowed on the furniture. Of course, we get some furniture time, but I invite one of them on the couch. We watch a movie because I want to have them there next to me and pet them. But after the movie, I always give them reasons to want to go back to their beds. And of course, they have very comfortable, beautiful, expensive beds that they love more than they love the couch, and that they love more than they love the bed. The reason why they're not really allowed on the furniture is that I don't think I could be consistent with it. So having a dog think that it's allowed to jump on the couch whenever it wants means that when you have guests, you can't really tell the dog off. If it's his couch, it's supposed to be his couch forever, but that is impossible because there is only one couch here. For the same reason why neither I nor my guests ever sit on the dog's beds. For that reason, the dogs are not allowed on the couch, really, because if they were, they would consider the couch theirs, and then it would be very unfair. And the same thing goes for the bed. Then it would be very unfair to suddenly not allow them on the couch for one entire night, because there is a party here and there's people that need to sit somewhere. And the other reason why they don't really get a lot on the furniture is because it confuses them a bit when it has to do with the hierarchy, because once you elevate a dog and you bring it to your own level, it's higher up than the rest, and it is a bit confusing, and it can end up being a bit antagonistic, who gets up on the couch or who gets up on the bed. Nabucco, come sit here. And of course it would make things very complicated when a fourth dog, a foster dog, comes in here, suddenly having, one dog there, one dog on the couch. foster dog thinking that he's allowed on the couch, and I'm trying to teach my foster dogs manners, and I'm trying to teach them to love their space and love their beds and respect everybody else's space. So my dogs have learned to love their beds, and I always reinforce them to get time on their beds. They get their treats there, so do my fosters. So for all those reasons, bringing in a fourth dog or a fifth one sometimes as a foster makes it a bit easier for me, and it makes it a bit easier for my dogs. The first thing I do when it comes to fosters is that I actually choose them. I know my dogs very well. I know what they like. I know what they don't like. They're not the most social dogs in the universe, especially the two big ones. But I know who they can be social with and who they won't be social with a lot. Don't like that. So after getting to know a dog that I'm planning on fostering, I know if he's going to fit right in or not. And there have been dogs that I rescued myself that were very important to me, that I really loved. They simply didn't get along with one of my dogs, so I couldn't foster them. Lou, for example, the dog that I rescued from the beach where we were vacationing in 3 years ago, he got into a really bad fight with Apollo while we were on the beach. 100% Apollo's fault. And they hated each other ever since. And I knew that it was impossible for me to bring such a dog home. The main reason, apart from the fact that there is too much work to be done if you want to bring in a dog that won't get along with the others, and the fact that I don't really have the knowledge for that. The main reason is that I definitely do not want to stress my dogs. They're my pets. I love them. This is their home, and I want them to feel safe in their home. A dog that growls, for example, at a foster is a dog that is stressed, and I don't want my dogs to be stressed because they come first. So for that reason, I choose my fosters. And so after getting to know Nabucco, and since I know my dogs very well, I knew that he was going to fit right in. So after I choose a dog to foster, normally I just bring him right into the house. I used to have them meet outside, for example, but my dogs are used to dogs coming and going now, so they pretty much know the routine that the new dog is coming. It's going to have its space, it's going to have its position in a pack for a while, and then it's probably gone, although they can't grasp the idea of future the way we do, but they're used to something happening. The only thing that changes is the dog. The routine during times when we foster doesn't really change. So they're very confident with me coming into the house with a new dog. And the first thing I do when I come into the house with a new dog, after I let them sniff each other a bit, and after I let the foster dog sniff around the house on a leash, I completely ignore all four of them. And I keep ignoring them at least for the first week. And I know that sounds weird, but dogs, when they're in new situations, and dogs that might be stressed because they've changed environments, are very comfortable when they are being ignored. And that's one thing that I also advise adopters to do. Just let the dog be. Just pretend that nothing has really changed, because dogs pick up on our behavior. So when I bring in a new foster dog and something has changed in their everyday life, I want to make them realize that no big deal, nothing really changed. Ignoring them doesn't mean pretending that they're not really here, but it means giving them enough time to adjust and giving them enough time to take in all the new information. They don't need you to be over their heads and them, good doggy, sit there, do this, oh how much I love you, oh poor thing you were, no, this is too much stress for a dog that's in a new environment. Another thing that I'm very careful with is I'm always trying to have their energy set pretty low, so there is no overexcitement when we're about to go on a walk. There is no overexcitement before we get our dinner. There is no overexcitement when I'm coming back from wherever I've been. And this is a bit difficult, but it is very important, and we also advise adopters to do it. I usually come in and they are at the door and they are so excited that I'm back, and I completely ignore them for at least 5 minutes until they settle down. And they do settle down, and once they settle down, you can have individual time with all of them, you can give them a treat, but when they're calm. What you don't want when you have more than one dog, I don't believe you want it when you have one dog either, is that fuss and over excitement when things are happening, or when they think that things are happening, because that's how you get behavioral issues, that's how you get dog fights, and that's how you get, you know, that type of energy that is constantly, you know, up, that over excitement that doesn't really help, especially with a dog that is new here. The other thing that is very important is to have the new dog realize that its basic needs are going to be satisfied, and the dog's basic needs are not over petting and constant talking and, you know, telling them how much you love them and spoiling them. That's the last thing they need. Actually, the first thing they need in order for them to feel comfortable and secure is to know that their basic needs will be satisfied, which is safety, you know, a safe place, exercise, and food. And the routine is very, very important, and it only takes a dog a couple of days to realize that it's going to get that routine, and this is what it's going to be happening from now on. And after they realize that the routine is set, they're going to get their walk, they're going to have their food, they're going to have, you know, time on their own, relaxing in the bed while nobody is bothering them, no dog, no human. They suddenly become relaxed, and it takes about a week or maybe a couple of weeks for the foster dog to seem like it's our fourth dog. My dogs also help with that, because they are very stable. They're dogs that are very sure about their lives. They're very sure and they're very confident that they're going to get their walk no matter what. So having three stable, calm, totally confident dogs really helps the fourth one realize that everything's cool. Everything that it's supposed to happen will happen. So this is what you do for the first days. I try to reinforce my fosters to spend time on their beds and to know whether there were their places. It's not that they're not allowed anywhere, but I'm trying to have them realize that this is their own space. And since my other three dogs completely respect each other's space, it just comes so easily that they also respect the fourth dog's space, and that the foster dog respects my dog's beds and won't, you know, go sleep in another bed, for example. And of course, I maintain that hierarchy status again. So the foster dog is fourth. Laura gets her dinner first, Apollo gets his dinner second, Pella gets her dinner third, and the foster dog gets his or her dinner fourth. And again, it only takes a couple of days for them to realize that the bowl of food will be on the floor for them. They just have to wait for 1, 2, 3 bowls to be placed on the floor first for the other dogs. And basically this is it. Since my dogs don't really interact with each other, I'm trying not to reinforce them interacting with the foster either, and it solves a lot of issues when you have a dog that actually waits for you to give a command and waits things to happen from you, not from other dogs. We go to parks and they get to play there. So they get playtime and they get interaction between them when we're in a park, for example, but it rarely happens at home. And whenever they start, being playful with each other, which rarely happens, but with Nabucco, for example, Apollo really likes him, which is very rare for Apollo to like anything. So a couple of times I've tried to play in the apartment. It was very fun to watch. I don't try to separate them. What I try to do is to give them reasons to go back to what they were doing before. And of course they'll do anything for a treat. The play stops. I never get in between. I never go waving treats, among their faces, because that leads to dog bites and dog fights. I just let them know that you're gonna get a treat now, and my dogs know exactly what to do, and the foster, maybe in a couple of days, also knows exactly what to do. So I'm just trying to give them reasons to be mainly separate and simply coexist. That's it. I am very fair. And I'm fair in order of hierarchy, which makes my dogs very certain of some things, and it also makes the foster very certain of some things, and no foster has ever cared that they're going to get their treats forth. Never. So this is basically what we do, actually, and it is very important for me to foster because I really love dogs, and living in an apartment does not give me the opportunity to have 10 or 20 dogs. And I don't know if I would want to have 10 or 20 dogs, to tell you the truth, but of my own. But fostering really gives me the opportunity to have more dogs, and for those weeks or for those months that the foster is here, I get to learn so much. After having fostered all sorts of dogs from all sorts of backgrounds and ages and sizes and personalities, I keep learning things about dogs that make me more knowledgeable, because I'm really interested in dogs, and the more dogs you foster, the more things you learn about them. I've already learned things from Nabucco, and he's been here for a couple of days. So I want to be 90 one day and look back and think of all those dogs that went through my life and were part of our family, even if it was for just a few weeks. So mainly this is the reason why I like to foster, and I'm a bit strict, not in an authoritarian kind of way, but I'm a bit emotionally flat when it comes to my fosters, because I don't really want to be the best thing that ever happened to them. I want their forever home to be the best thing that ever happened to them. I am okay with just being maybe the first good thing that happened to them, and I mainly want to prepare them for a new life in a home. If they have issues, I want to see them and address them. Maybe I can solve them, maybe I cannot, but I can be 100% honest to the new adoptive family, telling them this dog might react this way to such a situation, because sometimes when dogs come from shelters or straight from the street, you have no way of knowing exactly how they're going to react to something. But dogs that have been fostered are easier to get to know, so that makes things easier. So yeah, we always take breaks between fostering, no matter how much I want to help a dog or no matter how much I want to foster a new one. I always respect my dogs first and our family, so we always take a break between foster dogs. We take as much time as we need. We go back to our own routine. We reinforce our relationship between the four of us again, and then when we're ready, we get a new foster again. So yeah, this is mainly how we do it. And normally when we have a foster, we are very specific with the routine, which we are anyway, and emotionally we try to be a bit flat, so there is no over excitement in the house, there is no over playfulness, there is nothing that is too much for someone to handle, and that really helps have a stable environment for my dogs and for the foster also. And of course, as time goes by, with every foster, we develop new routines. And every dog brings something to this pack, of course. I owe a lot to my dogs for helping me do what I really like to do. I've helped them by letting them realize that no matter what happens, they will always get what they need. They will get their walks, they will get their time with me, they will get their food. And despite the fact that, you know, they all come, Lara was adopted, the other two, they come from the streets, despite the fact that all three had their issues, we've managed to have a very stable little pack for the last few years that can be welcoming to some types of foster dogs and can be a good teacher for some foster dogs. And I think that what they mainly teach them is that relax, chill, things will happen, and things eventually do happen. And we've never had a problem, mainly because I know my dogs very well and because my dogs know their routine very, very well, and they have no real big insecurity issues. Thank you for watching. If you did, you'll be seeing Nabuco's story, of course. I'll put a link below so that you can see where he comes from. And we have a lot of things to do together and to learn. He's pretty much perfect, but he's very food orientated, so that makes it very easy for him to learn commands. So he already knows how to sit. Let's see if he can learn some more commands, or maybe not. Thank you. Nabucco, you want to say hi?